To our other big story tonight, developing details on the armed suspect who was shot and killed by Phoenix police yesterday near Metro Center Mall. Tonight, a new report finds that Robbie Brown disobeyed officers' commands, forcing them to open fire.
It is the 40th officer-involved shooting in Maricopa County this year. We had 43 of them in all of last year. So what happens after a police shooting, and how do authorities get answers? Team 12's Charlie Edsity is verifying that for us tonight, and she joins us live with what she's finding. Charlie?
Well, according to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, there were 43 officer-involved shootings in all of last year and across the county. And right now, we are on pace to meet that number, possibly just halfway through this year.
The moment Robbie Brown pulled a gun from his pocket is when Phoenix police investigators say two of their officers fired. The report states the 34-year-old disobeyed officer orders to not touch his weapon, which caused a 22-year veteran and a 5-year veteran of the force to discharge their weapons.
Number one, everybody in the public should know and understand that a police officer doesn't look to have to use deadly force or pull their gun and shoot. That's not something that we want to do.
But why this keeps happening still remains a looming question. 12 News spoke with Phoenix Police Chief Jerry Williams several weeks ago and questioned her about this issue. And she says it reflects the dangerous behavior of some when they interact with officers.
Every single one, the individual that we came in contact with was actively being aggressive towards our officers.
An investigation begins immediately after an officer-involved shooting. That's to be conducted in one of two ways.
For most agencies, they will either do the investigation themselves with their internal affairs folks, or if they don't have that or have the manpower, they might go to a larger agency to do the investigation.
AZ Post sets ethical standards expected of those handling an investigation that is typically assigned to a department of detectives specializing in these kinds of investigations. The county attorney's office is also involved.
I think the public needs to know and should feel comfortable with the fact that agencies do investigate their officers when they're involved in that shooting, and they will continue to do so.
And stats from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office state that in the completed officer-involved shooting investigations so far from last year, 31 out of 34 suspects had some kind of weapon on them, and 21 of those people died as a result of their injuries. Charlie Edsity, 12 News.